We've got multiple gunshot wounds. We're going to need multiple ambulances on scene.
I was just praying that I would make it, that I could be here tonight, and I am, so I'm really thankful for that.
I was terrified. I have never been more terrified for my life, ever.
We were all just running for our lives.
I'm kind of numb right now.
We are deeply saddened by the tragic events that unfolded today at Umpqua Community College.
May God bless the memories of those who were killed today. May He bring comfort to their families and courage to the injured as they fight their way back.
We need love and compassion and healing, and it's going to take a long time.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Falcon Weekly. I'm Austin Gates.
And I'm Kiara Hood. Thanks so much for joining us.
Last Thursday started out just like any other day in the Umpqua Community College campus in Roseburg, Oregon.
But that day quickly turned into one that no one will ever forget, when 26-year-old Christopher Harper Mercer opened fire on campus.
9 people, ranging in age from 18 to 67 years old, died in the shooting rampage. Witnesses say that the gunman targeted Christians, asking them to stand before shooting them. The victims ranged from a professor to an adult returning student to some freshmen who were on their first few days of classes.
Several other students were shot, including 30-year-old Chris Mintz, who charged at the gunman and was shot multiple times. Witnesses say Mintz told Mercer after he'd been shot that it was his son's birthday. Others, like 18-year-old Anastasia Boylan, were also shot and survived. Boylan was shot in the back. She fell to the ground and pretended to be dead when the gunman called out to her.
Classes at UCC are canceled for all of this week. However, students and faculty are being allowed back on campus to retrieve personal belongings that they abandoned. They ran for their lives Thursday.
And the community of Roseburg is uniting to remember those lost and celebrate those who survived. Reporter Kelsey Watt shows us how the community started the healing process the day after the massacre.
Many others, students like Keegan Lally, were simply in class on what should have been a normal Thursday.
They thought they had heard nail guns going off because there's a construction site going on there at the same time. But and then everybody just kind of stood in the classroom until authorities came and took us out.
In those frantic moments, they left everything behind. And Friday, hundreds of people poured into the fairgrounds to be bused back to UCC for the first time to get their abandoned cars. They were met by grief counselors, a therapy dog, and Chaplain Jim Fields.
We're just here to provide whatever comfort and care to help with the grief process that we can. It's obviously traumatic. The grief is going to last a while. We understand that.
But in the grief, there's love, shown in signs outside businesses and in lyrics from former UCC student Brody Jansen.
And to the loved ones that he took, you're in our prayers, so rest in peace. You stood up for our city and all the things that you believe.
And at Java Run Coffee, customers have been paying it forward all day and leaving with a piece of Roseburg's heart.
That's it. That's all we have left. It's actually one of our customers that comes through here all the time. He's making them, and so he's just donating them and bringing them into us to hand out.
Barista Destiny Harris understands why. She's a UCC student, too.
Yesterday was the day I didn't have class.
A community proud to say, we are Roseburg. UCC strong.
One of the students inside the classroom during the shooting massacre is breaking her silence, exclusively telling CNN's Sarah Sidner the gunman entered her classroom calm and ready to kill. We want to warn you, this account is graphic and deeply disturbing.
I really don't know how I survived. I don't know. I was actually planning on just, waiting to see the black light, just waiting not to see anything anymore.
Tracy Hugh lived because she played dead.
I was sitting in the front of the classroom, facing the teacher when everything happened. He just came in and shot towards the back of the wall and told everybody to get in the center of the room.
It was one of her fellow students. He showed up on the fourth day of classes with guns, not books. He set his sights on classroom 15 in Snyder Hall at Umpqua Community College.
He seemed happy about it. He didn't seem stressed. He didn't seem nervous. But when he came in, he told everybody to get on the ground. So everybody tried to huddle to the ground, and then the girl in the wheelchair she got off and tried to get down the ground.
Wait, there was a woman in a wheelchair during all this as well?
Yeah, and she had a dog with her, but the dog was just on the ground, and she got off the chair. She went on the ground, and then he told her to get back on the chair, and then she tried to climb back on the chair, and then he shot her.
Tracy didn't know it yet, but the girl in the wheelchair was dead. He turned his attention to Professor Larry Levine.
He told the professor to get down on the ground as well. So he was trying to crawl down to the ground with us. And he shot the professor, and then he just started shooting everybody on the ground. And then that's when I knew that, this is it. I'm probably going to die. I probably won't see my kids anymore. I probably won't see anybody anymore.
Face down on the ground, hit by a bullet in the hand, she thought about her 3 children and waited to die.
The warmth of those blood that was all over me, that's when I knew that it was real. And I remember whispering to one of the person that was next to me, he's only one person, all of us, we just got to do something about it, or, we're all just going to die.
But then she heard the shooter make a promise. He would spare one of the male students. What did he say exactly?
He said that, you're the lucky one. I'm going to let you live, but I'm going to need you to go and tell the police everything that happened and give them this.
He handed the man an envelope to give to police and then started asking his victims about their religion.
He just asked them, are you Christian? Do you believe in God? And then they said, yeah. And he said, good, I'll send you, I'll send you to God. You'll be visiting God pretty soon. And then he shoots them. Then he asked him about them being Catholic, and they said, yeah. And then he still shot him. I seriously don't know where he shot him or who he killed, but he shot him either way.
The shooting in Oregon has raised questions of whether concealed weapons should be allowed on college campuses. According to the armedcampuses.org, the red states allow concealed guns by law. The gray states allow guns, but let the universities limit locations who carries guns. In the green states, concealed guns are prohibited by law. The yellow states, which include Alabama, allow each school to determine whether they can condone concealed weapons. And the orange states allow concealed weapons in locked cars and parking lots. Idaho is one of the 3 states that allows concealed weapons by law. Reporter Roland Beres shows us how students and teachers there are preparing for an active shooter situation.
The shooting in Oregon has many wondering what they would do if a shooter walked into their room. For Boise State student Kevin Milliken, the answer is easy: open fire.
It's easy to say that, but if I were ever in a situation like that, I would want to come home to loved ones. You would want to pull and fire. And let the man above sort him out.
Milliken has a concealed carry license and plans to have his gun when he attends class. And he says if more campuses allowed guns, fewer shootings would take place.
You come into a campus with people that have guns, they're going to be facing a lot of resistance as opposed to coming into a campus or any place that's a gun-free zone.
Idaho allows concealed weapons on college campuses, but it's different in public schools, and some teachers are learning there are other ways to deal with an active shooter.
The true first responders are those people that are on scene, and that if they have a knowledge of how to run, how to hide, how to fight, that there's a way of increasing the probability of survival.
Margaret Elkins from Wesleyan Preschool and Kindergarten is taking a special course at Forward Movement to learn how to handle active shooter scenarios.
Our best defense is to run and get children out of the building if we have a shooter inside. This is happening in our communities, and we need to be prepared to keep children safe.
Okay, good. All right, stop.
Schneider teaches students to take advantage of their surroundings. Phones, staplers, books, all can be used as a weapon of last defense. And when you're on your own, he says you must be ready to fight.
It's more probable than not that the event will be over prior to law enforcement arriving.
The recent shooting in Oregon has brought up the question of whether or not people should be allowed to carry concealed weapons on college campuses.
The state of Alabama has a law in place that allows each college campus to decide its policy on concealed weapons.
To discuss this topic further, joining us today are the University of Montevallo President Dr. Stewart and UMPD Police Chief Chad Adams. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today.
Thank you, Kira. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah. All right. So, Chief Adams, what are the procedures for if there's an active shooter on a campus?
Well, the University of Montevallo has an emergency operation plan in place. We take it as an all-hazard approach. We look at many different scenarios and types of incidents, and then within that, we have like a workplace violence. Inside the workplace violence section area of the emergency operation plans, where you will find information specific to an active shooter. That is on the Legacy site where everyone can see that, the students, faculty, and staff.
All right.
Okay, Dr. Stewart, my question would be, how do students and faculty on the university as a whole respond to a situation like this?
Well, as Chief Adams said, we have procedures in place that are accessible on the website. We do training, as I understand it, each year when the new classes come in, so that all students have, or at least most students have had training as they come to Montevallo. We trained at a faculty meeting a couple of years ago, and we have plans to renew that training with them. I think the way that students respond is keep a wary eye. We don't encourage anybody to live in fear. We live at a time where these tragedies seem to happen more often, unfortunately. But like all the other four-year state universities in Alabama, we made a conscious decision to bar firearms from campus, and along with the other four-year schools. So I think students and faculty and staff can be wary, but go about the important enterprise of teaching and learning on this wonderful campus, not live in fear, but follow the procedures that we have in place.
Okay, and there, I believe on the website there's a checklist of student preparedness. Can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we have it on our website, on the public safety website. You can go there, and it'll give you some simple suggestions of what to do and how to be prepared in the event a tragic incident like this happens. There's some more documentation there. All of that is for students and faculty staff to take. It's pretty common information at other universities, and that's what we wanted to do, is bring that information and share it with everyone here. We want to give everybody the opportunity to come here, feel safe, and learn, and not be in fear of incidents like this happening. Our officers are thoroughly trained to handle these situations. We do train with faculty and staff, so just basically follow instructions if this incident happens. And definitely try to watch the video on our website, the Run, Hide, Fight. It's an excellent video.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the exact steps that we would take to react to an active shooter, for instance, if they were in our classroom or somewhere where we're in a tight location?
Right. Well, as simple as this might sound, I mean, basically we're looking at 3 steps. If there is any possible way to run and to get out of the area and do that safely, that's what we want you to do. We want you to get out as fast as possible. If you can't, then we need you to hide. We need you to get into the corners of the rooms, away from windows, away from the point of access, the doors. The doors may have windows. Cover the door windows up if possible. We have gone through with the university support, and we have locking mechanisms on all of our doors in our classrooms here to help if that were to happen. And then the third thing we want you to do is fight. You know, that is at last resort, but today is the day to make up your mind if you're going to fight, not the day when this incident happens. You know, it's just like us. We have to stop the threat. If they're in the room shooting, they're not going to stop until they are made to stop. So,
a well-respected safety consultant once told me that it's very, very difficult to stop someone like this from doing harm, but with the right procedures and the right diligence and frankly the right attitude, you can mitigate significantly the harm that they do. So Chief Adams is right. You run, you lock the doors. We invested significantly in, I think every classroom on campus has new locks. After you lock, you hide, you get against a wall, you close the windows if there are shades, like Chief Adams said, and then if that terrible moment ever happened, you fight, you fight, you fight. You throw your shoes, you throw your backpack, you do whatever you can to mitigate the threat until our law enforcement arrives. We are very, very fortunate at Montevallo to have armed campus officers who will respond to an emergency within 90 seconds. We're very fortunate. We have a city police force, which is very, very close by, obviously. We have a county police force and a state police force. So we're very fortunate. I believe that we're one of the safest campuses in the country.
Now, let's come back a little bit to the Alabama concealed carry law. Does a situation like what happened in Oregon, does it ever cause you to consider maybe changing or the possibility of changing the concealed carry possibly at the university?
Yeah, I can speak to that, Chief. There was a lot of discussion, given where we live in the country, and so many of our citizens have convictions about the right to carry firearms. But I think it's telling that all of the four-year state universities did the same thing and banned all firearms from campus, thinking that for all the folks that are on our campus, that was the safest thing to do at this season and time.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. It was a pleasure to interview you. Thank you for your time. All right, thanks. We'll have more about the Oregon campus shooting and information of how to keep yourself safe on our campus UM Falcon Weekly Facebook and Twitter pages.
See you again next week.